Hello class, in this video we'll create a full AI for the boss character, and for this character basically we'll give it health value, so the player need to shoot it multiple times in order to kill it. And also for this character, every time when it attack the player, or it get hurt, or it died, or it simply just walk or idle, it'll randomize the animation, so every time you're going to play a different clip of animation. Alright, so now let's drop the skeleton model into the model folder. And here we'll select the skeleton and go to the animation tab, and here we're going to create a new animation clips. Okay, so here you can reference this Word document I provided, and you can just copy the name and paste it here. So this is start from 10 to 108 and apply. So here we'll have a lot of animation clips, so basically we're going to use these clips to give the character some variations on animations. For example, if I hit the skeleton character, every time it's going to play a different animation. Same thing for attack, same thing for the death animation. Also, I want you to copy the name and make sure the name convention is exactly the same as what I posted here, because later on we're going to reference this name in the script. Alright, so import the animation of the animation clips here, and also make sure all of the idle animations and walk animations are you checked on loop time. Okay, because when the character is idle sitting there, and we want you to repeat the animation, and same thing as walk. So here's my notes. So just make sure you have checked all of these as loop, and all of the other animations don't check on loop. Alright, and then we're going to create a new Animator controller, and we'll rename it to skeleton anime. Okay, and double click on to open. And here I will right click, create a new empty state. So by default it will play this empty state, it doesn't have any animation. Alright, and now let's go to the model and select all of the animation clips you created. Don't select the take one, because that is the default animation, it has all of the frames. Right, so we'll just select the clips that we created and bring all of them here, and then you can organize them. So attack one, I will put it in this column, and death animation, here's how it looks. So attack animation, death animation 6 clips, and then idle animation 5 clips, and then here goes hurt and walk. And then I want you to select each hurt animation and make a transition to the walk animation, and I'll explain you why I'm doing this later on. Okay, so this is the structure. So by default you're going to play the empty state animation, and once is called, is referenced in the script, and then it will play one of these animation clips. Okay, so now let's go back to the scene, and let's drop this character, anime character, in front of our player. So here's the player, right? So now let's drop our skeleton here. So as you can see, the blue is the front axis, so let's rotate him 90 degrees along y-axis, so he's facing to our player. And then let's select the skeleton and go to add component, and we'll add a animator. And for controller, let's add skeleton anime that we just created, and click on apply root motion. And then here let's go to the script folder, and let's take a look at the script we have. So basically this time for Anime AI we also have 2 versions. Okay, so I'll go to the second version. It's more kind of a complicated version, so we'll use this one, and then I'll compare the differences. So go to the second version and let's drop in the skeleton chase, skeleton idle. Alright, so here's it. So now let's select our skeleton model and let's apply a mesh agent. So navigation mesh agent, because we want our character to be able to navigate in the environment and then chase our player. So we're going to apply this one. And also for stopping distance, let's do 2.5. So when the character is 2 meters, 2.5 meters away from our character, you're going to stop. And add component, let's add skeleton idle, and then skeleton chase. So here, as you can see, these are public game objects, so we have to apply them to assign them, so now enemy character know who is the player. Because for this character, we'll not use it for spawn, so that's why I just use the public game object, and you'll have to assign. So skeleton will be itself, and player will be here, first person controller here as well, and player. Alright, now let's temporarily check off the chasing and let's do a test. And as you can see, item random number, now it's generated 3, so this is the third clip idle animation. So if I do it again, and okay, so now you can see that the idle random number is 2, so it's play the second clip. And one more time, and now it's a 3 again. And now it's a 4. So this is the fourth animation clip. Okay, so that means every time you play different animation clip, so you that indicates that when you duplicate this character and place it at different locations, and they will play different animation. Alright, so now if I check on both idle and chasing, and now the character should follow me. Okay, and here's the anime chasing script. So basically we gave we assigned a public object, which is a navigation object, skeleton, and the player's transform location. So by default, when you play this game, the skeleton, it'll set it to a new destination navigation system, and the new destination will be the player's position. And then for the skeleton idle script, so here we have a public game object skeleton, and also the player's transform information, and also we created an integer which is idle random. Okay, so whenever the game is a start, whenever this script is active, you're going to start the coroutine and you're going to play the idle animation. So you're going to start this coroutine. Okay, and also the skeleton transform, look at the player, so it will keep aim to the player. And for this coroutine, what's gonna happen is the idle random, which is the integer we have declared here, so you're going to randomize a number from this range, between 1 to 6. So if it is if this number is generated as 1, you're going to play the first idle animation clip. 2, you're going to play the second animation clip, so we have 5 in total. And then you're going to wait for 900 seconds, because for the idle animation, I want it to keep looping for the one clip it is selected, so that's why I put the wait time a little bit longer. Now let's import the skeleton awake and skeleton attacking script. Okay, and let's select the skeleton and right click here and create a 3D object, a cube. So for this cube, I want to say trigger skeleton awake. So once our player enters this trigger, the skeleton will be awake. So we can we can make it bigger and check off mesh render and check on is trigger. So whenever our player entered this trigger, the skeleton will chase us. So select it and then apply the skeleton awake script. So here we'll assign the object. So skeleton will be this one, skeleton sound, we're gonna create it, and skeleton attack trigger, okay, and this trigger. So this trigger will be here. Alright, so now let's right click here and let's create an empty object, and here we're gonna say skeleton sound, and let's add a audio source. And for the audio source, the setting, I'm gonna say play awake and loop, and I will max the distance about 20, and linear roll off and 2D sound. Okay, and then we'll apply the sound. So go to the sound effects and let's go to the sound effects here and drop in the skeleton sound. Okay, here is it. So select the skeleton sound and apply this one to here. And actually I will check off play on wake because I want this sound to be called when the player enters the trigger. Okay, check on loop to loop the sound, and then we'll select the skeleton, right click and go to 3D object and create a new cube. And for this cube, I'm gonna say trigger skeleton attack. So whenever our player enters this trigger, our skeleton will attacking us. So it can be about this size, about 5.5. Okay, and check off mesh render and check on is trigger. Okay, and then we'll add a script, skeleton attacking. And for this script, let's drop the skeleton to here. And we don't need to do anything for this one. And then select the trigger skeleton awake, and here skeleton sound will be this one. Skeleton attack trigger will be this one. And then I want you to select the attack trigger and check it off, because later on we're going to use the wake trigger to activate it. And select the skeleton and also check off chase it. Alright, and in the beginning he will not chase us. Once we enter the trigger, he will chase us. So now let's test play. So now as you can see, the zombie is standing there still and play the idle animation once I enter the trigger. Now we'll have the sound and he will follow us. And when I'm in the attack range, he will attack us. Okay, let me temporarily turn off the spawn skull character because that's kind of annoying. Okay, now we are focusing on the skeleton. So now he's able to chase us and attack us. However, it doesn't cause any damage, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here and create a 3D object, a cube, and I'll say skeleton collider or skeleton weapon, whatever you want to call. Okay, and for this object, I'm going to make it longer. Same thing as what we have done for the skull. Scale it down like this. So basically we'll just make a stick, and he'll use this stick to punch us. Okay, and place it here like this. Maybe it's too long, like this. And then I will turn off mesh render and make sure our box collider is checked on. And here for tag, I will tag as enemy, because remember we have a player health script. So whenever the enemy object enter this collider, you're going to deduct our player health value. Alright, so now let's take a look at the script. So this is the skeleton awake script. So here we declare 4 game objects. The skeleton sound, the skeleton attack trigger, and also this trigger, which is the skeleton awake trigger itself. Okay, so whenever the this script is functioning, the game start, you're going to get the skeleton object and get its component, which is the skeleton chasen. That is the chasen script we have applied to the skeleton earlier. It allows the skeleton to chase the player. So basically, it'll get this component and disable it, so the skeleton will not chase us. And also, it'll disable the attack trigger. Alright, and here's the trigger enter function. So whenever a game object tagged as a player or a game object tagged as a boolean enter this trigger, you're going to process this function. So it's going to enable the skeleton chase. So skeleton will chase the player, and it'll also play the skeleton sound. It'll enable the attack trigger, so the skeleton will be able to attack us. It will also disable the skeleton idle script because we're done with the idle state, so it will not play any idle animation. It will also disable this awake trigger because we don't want it to be activated multiple times. So here, either the player enter this trigger, or if we shoot the skeleton, so the boolean enter this trigger, so this is going to happen. Alright, now let's take a look at the attacking script. So here we only declare one game object, which is the skeleton, and then we declare two boolean for status check. One is in attack range, one is attacking. And also we declare two integers, attack random or walk random. Okay, so whenever this script is active, you're going to start a coroutine, which is walk to player. So you're going to make the skeleton walk towards our player. And then if our player enter the attack trigger, you're going to change the in attack range status as true. If the player exit the attack trigger, you're going to change the attack range status as false, and then you're going to start coroutine walk to player. So basically, you're going to back to the coroutine walk to player. Okay, so now let's take a look at the walk to player coroutine. So while this coroutine is true and also in attack range is false, so if the player is not in the attack trigger, you're going to choose a number for the walk random number. So it will pick a random number between this range between 1 to 5. And if the walk random is 1, you're going to play the first walk animation cycle. 2, you're going to play the second animation clip. And then it will keep looping that animation for 900 seconds, and then it'll repeat. If the players are still not in the attack range, you're going to repeat, pick a random number again and play the animation. Alright, so if here, if the condition changed, if the player now enter the attack trigger, so in attack range is true, and if the skeleton is not currently attacking the player, and then it will start a coroutine which is attack player. So for attack players here, so it will make the skeleton attacking our player, so this status will be true. And then for attack random number, you're going to pick up random number between 1 to 5. If 1, you're going to play the first attack animation cycle. 2 will play the second animation cycle, and it will keep the animation for 3 seconds, and then it'll let the skeleton character to stop attacking, and then it'll come back here and check the condition. So now if the player is still in the attack trigger, so in the attack range is still true, and if the enemy already stopped attack the player, and then it'll process the attack player again. It'll attack the player again. Now you can see that in the beginning, the skeleton just standing there and play the idle animation, and if we walked in the awake trigger, he will start to chase us, and if we are in the attack range, he will start to attack us, and every time he should play a different attack animation. And here you should see that the attack trigger is a little bit too big, so the skeleton start to attack us in a very far distance, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll select this attack trigger. This is how it looks. So I'm going to scale it down to about 3.5, and And now let's take a look at how it looks. Okay, maybe 3. Alright, and then also check it off, and it should be good. Alright, so now let's go to the sound effects and select the depth sound and the hurt sound and drop them into the sound effects folder. And here I will select the skeleton sound object and I'll make a duplication. And for duplicate object, I'm gonna say skeleton death sound 1, and then duplicate. And then this one I will see 2, and this one I'll see 3, and last one I'll see skeleton hurt sound. Alright, and bring them closer to the sound object. So now for the death sound 1, I'm gonna drop in the first, this one, death sound effects first one, and the second one I will drop in the second clip. Here is it. Okay, and third one I will drop the third clip to it. Alright, and the hurt sound I will drop in the skeleton hurt. Okay, and then what I want you to do is select all these 4 objects. I want you to check off loop and also check off play on weak, because for all these 4 objects I don't want it to play on weak, so only the sound will play when it is called by the script. Now we'll select the skeleton, right click and create a 3D cube object. So for this one I will see trigger skeleton health. Okay, so for this one I'm going to cover the skeleton's body. Alright, so whenever the bootnet enter this trigger, you're going to deduct the health value of the skeleton. So we can select it and turn off mesh render and check on its trigger, and also we're going to apply the script. So now let's go to the script folder and let's drop in the skeleton health script. Okay, so now let's select the skeleton health trigger and add component skeleton health, and now we'll assign all these objects. So first the skeleton will be here, skeleton sound, which is the default sound, will be here, skeleton heart sound is here, and then 3 different versions of death sound. So we're going to just assign them, and then attack trigger, which is here, as skeleton collider, which is the weapon we just created, so you're going to hurt our player. This trigger will be the trigger itself. Alright, so after you get all of these, and we can test play, and I want to check off max on play, so you will be able to see the skeleton's health value. So by default he has 100 health value, same as the player. Okay, and then if I start to shoot, and now you can see that we kind of deduct the health value from the skeleton, and also he played the heart animation and heart sound, and every time when I hit him, he played different type of heart animation. And if the health value get to 0, he will be killed. And since we also have different type of death animation, so different skeleton will play different death animation. So if you duplicate, you'll see it. Alright, so here's the health script for skeleton. So basically we have the health value set as 100 and damage for 10. So every time when the bootnet hit this health trigger, So you're going to deduct the skeleton health value by the damage value, which is a 10. So you're going to minus 10 from the 100, and you're also going to play the skeleton heart sound, and it'll start a coroutine, which is a heart skeleton function here. So for this skeleton heart skeleton coroutine, what you're going to do is you're going to get a skeleton chasing script. It will disable this script, and also if the skeleton is moving, you're going to stop it to move. And also it will get a hard random number. It will pick up a random number from 1 to 5, and if you pick up 1, you're going to play hard 1 animation, 2 play the second animation, and it will stay on the animation for 3 seconds, and then it will enable this script and let the skeleton to reset the path, so it will reset the destination again and look for the player. Okay, and whenever the skeleton health value is minus or equal to 0, so basically the skeleton died, and what's gonna happen is you're going to disable its attack trigger, so it will not be able to attack the player. It's also going to disable the skeleton chasing script, and if it is moving, you're going to stop it. And also you're going to this is a skeleton weapon, so you will disable it, so the skeleton will not be able to hurt the player again. And it will turn off the skeleton sound, and it will also turn off this trigger, which is a health trigger, so the skeleton will not have any health value anymore. And also we're going to do these 2 random numbers. One is the death animation random, and from 1 to 7, so it will play the death animation. It will also pick up a number for the death sound, a random number, and it will pick up the death sound from here. Alright, so basically this is a full skeleton AI. So basically I use this character for the boss of the game, and the skull character is more like these small enemies. When you shoot it 1 time, you're going to die. However, for the skeleton, you will need to shoot it 10 times at least to kill it. Okay, so once you get everything here set up, you can duplicate it. For example, this one, I can place it somewhere, hide it at there, and then I can make a duplication, and I can hide it maybe the back side of the building, and make a duplication to maybe here somewhere. And you can even make the awake trigger bigger, so your player will never miss it. And then you can make a duplication and get it to maybe here. Okay, but don't include where the player is standing. And one more, maybe back there, and one more, maybe back there. Okay, so I don't want to make the game too easy for the player. Now we can select the to spawn object, and we can turn it on, and you can duplicate more if you want. And then let's test play the game.